Hi everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today we've got the pleasure of watching Tondula Sedlacek playing in the one and only, it's the most prestigious tank in the game, at least for now, it is the Blackrock. And happy Halloween to all of you. I'm playing the best horror game of all time, the one that has given us more pain than anything else probably, and that is of course World of Tanks. Now firstly, apologies I haven't posted any videos in the last week. As you can probably hear from my voice, I've recovered from a pretty nasty cold, and as I learned from last time, if I try to push through with my voice, then it kind of just makes it much worse. So I decided to do the responsible thing and take the time off, and I'm feeling much better now and ready to get back on the horse. I'll be streaming full-time today and tomorrow with all the Halloween drops, and tomorrow some special drops to celebrate all things QuickyBaby. You can come and get yourself a QB style tomorrow as well. One of the ones with all of the QB logos, all of it. Even though I don't really have a logo, I think my face is the logo. That would be a good one. Just put my face all over it, Wargaming, would you? Yeah, what does that sound like? That sounds like a nightmare. Well, it is Halloween, so let's just go for it anyway. So today, as I said, we have the pleasure of watching Tondula Sedlacek playing in the Blackrock, the most prestigious tank in the game right now. To be able to get your hands on this early, you would have had to have completed at least the vast majority of all the missions. However, we can tell, because Tondula has this jetpack on top of their vehicle, that they have completed all of the missions with honors. That's one way to see it. The other way to see it is if you put the 2D style on this vehicle that is unique for completing everything as well. But Tondula, let's just say they decided to dress themselves up for Halloween instead, right? Yeah, with pretty much everything on this vehicle, including that, like, blue face on the front. Brilliant. Honestly, I think doing something like this is way more cool than just whacking on the prestigious stuff, right? But still, the nod to the prestigious on the top with the jetpack. So, ladies and gents, boys and girls, there's no way to say this otherwise. This is one of the greatest, if not the greatest, games of World of Tanks of all time. Hence the title of the video, and you'll see exactly why it makes sense later on. So, Tondula is on their second mark of excellence right now, so that clearly shows that they are a sweaty player. Because getting your second mark on this vehicle at the moment, you're competing with only people who have managed to unlock this vehicle. Now, the marks will drop and drop and drop and drop and drop as time goes on, as more and more people unlock the Blackrock with the weeklies. But as it stands right now, to be able to have this vehicle is prestigious. And then, to be able to get your second mark of excellence, even more prestigious on this vehicle, because you're competing with only good players. Well, at least you'd hope good players were able to jump through all Wargaming's hoops to do 9,000 damage this, kill 5 tanks that, deal 1,500 damage to 3 different vehicles and destroy them in a single battle. Yeah, do 30% of your entire team's damage. Just basically ask your players to go AFK. 30% is the equivalent of 4.5 tanks worth of damage, guys, unless you manage to get a lucky cap in the battle. That one took me a while, for sure, but we got there. I managed to get all of the missions done eventually, but yeah, that was a horror show. It really was. So interestingly, this 260 actually gets outrammed by the Blackrock there. I don't know how that works out. Maybe they just managed to catch the front of the tracks. Do you know what's scaring me more than Halloween? Is that every time that I cough right now, I'm muting my mic to save you all just a disgusting noise. But I still have trauma from that time where I muted my mic and then proceeded to play through a 30-minute live video. Well, as this is a single game of World of Tanks today, at least I won't have to replay through or add post-game commentary onto a 30-minute live video. That was the nightmare. But let's just talk about the nightmare of a situation that Tondula is in here, and that is, even though they're up to 5,600 damage, their team isn't really that much far ahead. And they've lost a fair amount of hit points so far, but 5,700 damage is 5,700. But in the grand nature of how good of a player Tondula is, and how sweaty I expect they definitely are with the second mark and the full unlock of the Blackrock, yeah, I feel that maybe they've been quite aggressive with their hit points so far. But in a game which looks like it could have started to snowball and escalate when you're trying to obviously push for a third mark, that looks like Tondula is here. Although no directive and not full gold? What is this? A player using irregular consumables as well outside of the food? What I will say about the Tondula, the way that Tondula is playing here, is this is like economy, but smart economy. I'm not saying that just because it's the way that I like to play World of Tanks. You know, take roughly about half the gold rounds, half the regular rounds, use intuition to be able to use the... Oh, bye-bye statue. Use the intuition to use the correct ammo. And then, you know, don't waste that large repair kit. Don't waste that large med kit. Sure, it provides you an advantage. And there are some tanks that I would still use it on. Anything that I really want to try and, like, drop a durability device on and still have good track repair time, or anything where I feel like artillery is just going to dump me and dump me and dump me because I like to sit out in the open. But you are paying a lot more. Even if you buy them on discount, you're paying 8,500 credits each for in a game. That's 17,000. That's often the difference between either losing a ton of credits or losing not so many, or quite often it's the difference between actually making a profit in a battle. And it's very easy for a lot of us now, seeing how we all just got 10 million credits for free, to think like, ah, yeah, just spend it. And a lot of people also consider, oh, well, I got them for free, so they don't have value anyway. Mate, on my free-to-play account, I sell all my premium consumables. And that's probably how I have purchased pretty much every single tier 10 non-artillery tank in the game without wasting all of my life. So a little bit of a misplay there by Tondula. Maybe they forgot that they had the double there. They actually flinched away and they missed the kill on the contriver. But a tiny misplay in otherwise a great game so far. Now up to 8,800 damage in the first 7 minutes of this battle, but Tondula still has a lot to go. And this is just, you know, the kind of situation that Dreams are made of. And no, I don't mean sitting hull down in a window, shooting down at a glass cannon medium tank. I'm talking about the fact that you're on 9,000 damage, you've still got 900 hit points, you're in a top tier vehicle, there's no arty to worry about, and your team is losing, but not losing by a huge amount, which means that they usually have to play relatively safely. Ooh, Hirschkäfer misses their shell. Tondula tries to come around the corner to be able to see if they can catch the shot on the Hirschkäfer, doesn't manage to. Comes around this corner, sees the 60 TP there, and I think that Tondula didn't quite think, is that 60 TP going to block me? Are they going to let me around the corner? And so they make a decision, okay, I'm going to turn around, even possibly in the open there for the Hirschkäfer. Or maybe they were bluffing to the Hirschkäfer to tell them that they went west, and now they've actually gone east to try and go behind them. It's hard to say in that situation, but the last thing that you want is to be blocked. So Tondula is loading HE with the Blackrock's ability. That is what this vehicle is all about. If any of you haven't watched my Blackrock tank review, thoroughly recommend that you check it out. And that's 2 HE pens, 1,068 damage in like half a second delivered there. Absolutely was 1 second, not half a second. It felt like it was so fast to do 1,000 damage though. 1 second burst once you've got all of the upgrades. So the Blackrock's ability, as you can see in the center of your screen, you load once you get 2 penetrations, and it doesn't matter if you miss shells, bounce shells in between it doesn't reset the stack. Then after you've got 2 penetrations, your next one fires 2 shells. Now, you have to fire 2 shells, you don't have an option, so it's kind of annoying if you fire 2 heat shells against a vehicle that's on very low health. Well, you could always reload the regular rounds, at least if you're able to penetrate them. And then just like this, you manage to stack it up. As you can see in the center of the screen, 1 shell loaded now. So it's a great ability, but it's also kind of annoying at the same time to waste that ammunition. And also to not really be able to pick when you want to be able to fire the double. But if you could, that would have been outrageous. So, Tondula, up to 10,500 damage, has decided it's time to fall back. And I think what Tondula is thinking right now is, let's protect the cap circle. Protecting the cap circle would be the best. And maybe they could go and get themselves into... I would probably go into this window here. Or alternatively, make your way behind some of the cover here. But then you... worried about getting flanked, or maybe some of the cover around here so you can be able to fall back and then try to protect the cap circle. Because this is an open cap circle and there's no opportunity for your opponents to be able to hide behind some cover. They could fall back into here and go hull down, which would be annoying if it was the BZ-79, who doesn't look like they're a bad player because they're on 5 kills. But still, I think by far the best play would be to go back and protect the cap circle with the 60 TP. But they're going to need that 60 TP. There's 4,600 hit points on the enemy team, unless the BZ-79 hasn't been updated. And they got 2,300 between them in a 2 versus 3 situation. So falling back to defend there would be good. And here we go, Tondula. Can you manage to save these hit points? So the CS-63, an absolute tourist of a player around Berlin here, you know, trying to go see the Brandenburg Gate down towards the south. Unfortunately, this is what Tondula says to tourists. Not in my city, fam. Shutting down the CS-63. And what you saw there is that they can actually drive around, and the first shell whiffs. But the second shell gets that accuracy bonus and dispersion bonus. So the second shell with auto-aim is actually really lethal in that scenario. And so the second shell, just the accuracy zeroes in and it manages to deliver it. So something that I didn't really consider on the Blackrock there is that second shell, so good on the move. Almost as if you get like megavert stabs on this vehicle on top of the experimental turbo that Tondula is using. So you know what? I just love everything about this game so far. You know, firing a good amount of gold, a good amount of regular rounds, regular consumables. You know, man, this is just everything that World of Tanks is made of. 11,000 damage in a relatively new, prestigious tank, and we're in a tough situation here. You know, Tondula is going to have to try and figure out a bit of an enigma. How to get rid of a BZ-79, who's very healthy, as well as an STRV-103B. So, Tondula is going to, again, show how great of a player they are by communicating with their 60 TP. They're telling them to fall back, and I don't think it's just telling them to fall back because they want to hoard the damage themselves. I think it is more a case of telling them to fall back so that they don't walk into the mother of all ambushes. I mean, it's an STRV-103B at the back of the map and a BZ-79. I think Tondula is looking about how they can win this game, but also probably about how they can manage to squeak a little bit more out of it. But you know, usually those two things go hand in hand. And unless people are artificially playing incredibly safely to try and then farm zombies, which is very fitting for Halloween, as they drive towards them at the end of the game, then I don't really see how two things are unrelated. So Tondula makes a play here. I think they were thinking about going into the dip, but then they decided that the STRV would have a crossfire. And so they take a free shot from the BZ-79, losing 700 hit points. Starting to look really ugly for Tondula's team here as the 60 TP walks right into the ambush. And I can tell you, if I was Tondula, I'd be annoyed. The 60 TP looks like they've just absolutely thrown the dream game of World of Tanks. So, what begins is a 1 versus 2, where the enemies have literally got 20 times your hit points. Okay, well, at least not 20 times now. A little bit less now. Full health STRV, it's a formality, right? Oh my god, Tondula's hit points are ticking down. Look at that, 104. And they are juggling them. And they use the double to finish them off. Taking what looked like about 150 damage there. Unbelievable. The BZ misses. Tondula tracks. Now the ability starting to stack up. 1 shot left. Is this possible? 13,500 damage now. Tondula looking for the lower plate, looking for the top. Steady aim right into the top weak point of the BZ-79. The BZ-79 needs to use their hit points now to be able to cross this gap. Surely this is still a formality. The BZ's just waiting to save up his boosters. Tondula hits both shells. Then the BZ-79 rockets forwards. The BZ-79 probably has the reload here. Tondula slips over the ridge and misses! No freaking way! But what? What? I would get far more hyped if my voice wasn't about to go after having a week of sickness. Let me tell you, boys and girls. Oh my lord, what was this game? Okay, I'm definitely hamming it on there. Definitely hamming it on. What was this game of World of Tanks? Goodness gracious. 15,000 damage. 8 kills, winning a 1 versus 2, where you're a one-shot against the enemy who had 4,000 hit points. Absolutely wild stuff. I'm not mincing my words. I think this is probably one of, if not the greatest games of World of Tanks I've ever seen. And I've watched a lot. And the games that I've watched, they've been the creme de la creme at the top. I think this might be the greatest game of World of Tanks. And that's why I feel about the title today. You know, Tondula, you might as well quit after this. Honestly, what more is there to do, bro? You've managed to have arguably the greatest game of World of Tanks in a brand new prestigious vehicle, the daddy of the tier 11s. What more is there to collect? What missions are there more to do? What more is there to prove? And to top it all off, a third mark of excellence on the BlackRock. Again, more justification for the title. It ain't just clickbait, boys and girls. When you've 3-marked the hardest tank to 3-mark in the game so early on, Tondula, what is there left to do? Maybe wait for some big patch for some new tank? Who am I kidding? Tondula is one of those kind of players that has just reached the pinnacle of World of Tanks. But I can tell you, after you've reached that pinnacle, it's like a scratch that just can't be itched. Or even an itch that just can't be scratched, right? And I guess at the very least, Wargaming have pretty much said that they're going to do tier 12 one day, right? Until then, I expect you're going to find something to keep you busy. And ladies and gents, boys and girls, I'd like to highlight that Tondula Sedlacek has their own YouTube channel with only 331 subscribers, 51 videos, of which one was a BlackRock game with 14,000 damage from 3 weeks ago. I would thoroughly recommend going and checking them out, giving their channel a little bit of love, and I'll be linking it in the description down below. And hopefully I don't forget, as this end of this horrible bug I've had is mincing my brain a little bit. Anyway, Tondula, congratulations to you on probably the greatest game of World of Tanks of all time. Thank you so much for sharing it on the What Record website for the community to enjoy. I definitely did. That's why I wanted to feature it on the channel today. So I really hope all of you out there enjoyed this game. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down. And if you're watching this video as it goes live on Friday, I'm going to be returning to streaming on twitch.tv/QuickyBaby with some Halloween drops. So I'm going to be dressing up a little bit today. Come and check out what silly costume I decide to wear. And you'll be able to get yourself some decals, some premium consumables worth 150,000 credits if you sell them and you don't want to use them, some boosters, and also a 2D style just for watching. And also a heads up that tomorrow I will have special exclusive drops to celebrate all things QuickyBaby, and you'll be able to get yourself one of my unique 2D styles. So really looking forward to seeing you all live right now. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.